Smarterfan.
Hey everybody, welcome to another segment of Smarterfan podcast, where we bring you behind the veil of sports business and life. I'm Joe, and this is Barry. How you doing, Barry?
I'm doing good, Joe. Come on, man. I know it's cold in New York. I understand. Let's get some energy going tonight. I feel good. A lot going on. It looks like my boy Lamar may actually get to a Super Bowl. Get that steal of kryptonite off of him. So it's going to be interesting. Got a lot to say. Got a lot to talk about in the world of sport, my friend.
Definitely. I'm going to talk about Tony Esposito.
Oh, you going back into the archives?
Oh yeah. Now he's the younger brother of Hall of Famer Phil Esposito, and according to Phil, he, Tony, and two other guys would practice shooting with one guy playing goalie. Now, the guy with the fewest goals would play goalie. And according to him, Tony always lost. And that's how he wound up playing goalie.
Really?
Yeah. So he played hockey at Michigan Tech. And he was a three-year varsity letter winner. And he also, and he led them to an NCAA championship in '64.
Wow.
Now, he came up with the Canadians during the 68-69 season, and he was only the third American college player selected by an NHL team. So, back then it was, all Canadian.
Yeah, well, you got all that snow and ice up in Canada. You should be good at hockey.
That's right. So he made his first NHL start against his brother Phil and the Boston Bruins. With Phil scored both goals in a 2-2 tie.
Wow.
Yeah, imagine that. So now he only played 13 games for the Canadians because they were so deep at that position that they left him unprotected. So that's when the Blackhawks grabbed him off of waivers for the 70 season.
Okay.
Now, that's when his career took off because that year he recorded 15 shutouts.
Wow.
And a 2.17 goal against average. And that won him the Calder Trophy for best rookie.
Wow.
Yeah. And he also won the Vezina Trophy for allowing the fewest goals. So, but he had a Hall of Fame career throughout the 70s, and he played a few seasons in the 80s, and then he retired in 84. And unfortunately, he passed away in 20 at the age of 78.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he died of cancer.
Oh, man.
So,
what about his brother?
He's still around.
Really?
Yeah, he's still around.
Wow.
I know he was a GM for a couple of teams. I'm not sure what he's doing now. I think he has something to do with the hockey team in Hartford. Or I think it's a Ranger affiliate. Yeah, I think he has something to do with that. So,
Esposito.
Yeah. And now Tony, like I said, he had a great career in the 70s, and the Canadians, they never skipped a beat when they let him go. And during his career, they've won multiple Stanley Cups. So, So
the Canadians, the Maple Leafs.
Oh yeah.
Those are different kind of guys.
Definitely. So the importance of knowing your history in sport.
I got a funny story for you.
Mm-hmm.
I got a funny story. So I was watching. I can't remember the player's name, but if you saw a picture of him, very popular, very
Mhm.
well known. And he tells this story, true story, of a teammate of his who they're getting on the bus,
Mhm.
I think leaving the game. And his teammate says to him, "Hey, man, one of the doctors on the team wanted to talk to me about, how to use my hands, how to catch passes, and really work on certain things on my game."
Mm.
And so he says, "One of the doctors wanted to do that with you?" He said, "Yeah, that guy over there." Guess who he was pointing to?
Dr. J.
Yes.
Oh my God. One of the doctors, huh?
So the guy was the player that was telling this story was saying, "You wouldn't believe how many players are in the NBA and really don't know any history of the greats, or they don't know, they're just gifted to play,
Mhm.
but they really don't know anything about the players." Isn't that
Nope.
crazy?
Not it's crazy, but I
It,
believe it.
yeah,
Yeah, I believe it.
yeah, yeah. Because you hear some of these guys talk and they act like, first of all, we as a people of color have only been in pro sports significantly 50 years.
Mm.
And that was, we really didn't show up until about the 60s, 70s, a little bit. It was really 80s, 90s and forward where we started to get some shine.
Right. Yeah.
And we never had this many black quarterbacks, right?
No, no.
So what is sad is that a lot of these kids who are growing up don't realize that it wasn't always dominant. We weren't always there,
Yeah. Yeah.
and big money really didn't start to show up until the 60s and TV,
Mm.
right? And then
Yeah.
it's just gotten progressively greater. So it's really sad because when you don't understand how you get paid, you don't understand the industry or the business you're in. And
Yeah.
that's sports, that's in any business. If you
Mm.
really don't understand the money flow, when it ends, you end. And
Mm.
then today I caught a very insightful interview with Kobe Bryant,
Mhm.
and he was talking about, you know the challenges of being an athlete, and hopefully you get 10 years in. He was able to
Right.
play till 737 at a high level, making a lot of money. But he
Right.
says a lot of guys, so you're typically out of the game by 30,
Mhm.
but you got all the rest of this life. So if you're not thinking about what's next, he was saying, and he's saying, when I say what's next, I'm not necessarily talking about value or money. I'm talking about what's your next passion.
Mm.
Because really, no matter how much money you make, that pot is going to dry up if you don't have a plan
Yes,
because
it
of your
will.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I said, man, this is what needs to be, these guys need to hear and understand, because unfortunately you're going to hear, we've already heard about it, guys making 100 million, making a lot of money and going broke because it
Mhm.
ain't really 100 million. It's after
Mhm.
taxes 50 million, and then your agent, and then whatever lifestyle you're living, and then how many people you're taking care of. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah.
And you know, look what just happened to Earl Thomas. I think his former wife, either she stole, I think she stole 3 million,
Mm.
forging his name, his ex-wife.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
I think it's three. It could be more, but I think she stole 3 million. I think she got arrested. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And these are the things that, I mean, before all human beings, it's just high profile because of athlete. And you gotta really, you gotta be smart about it. You gotta be
Definitely.
smart about it. Travis Hunter is getting a lot of flack over his girl and so forth
Yeah.
and so on. And Somebody's, Cam Newton said, if you're going to live a public life and let all these people in your life, this
Yeah.
comes with it. And you're going to
Mm-hmm.
be this high profile athlete, and it's just kind of like, bro, let me tell you, it's like the classic line, oh, we've been together since high school. And yeah, but you was living in somebody else's house. Then you went to college and somebody else was paying your bills. Where you're going, it's a totally different world. The
Mm.
expectations are totally and completely different, as well as the money. And
Yeah.
if you don't have a plan, she can take half.
Well, speaking of high profile, Jalen Hurts, he left the game
Oh,
against the Commanders with a concussion, right?
yeah.
So now he's questionable for the last two games. Now, on top of that, Kenny Pickett goes in to replace him
Hmm.
and he gets hurt.
Yeah.
So now it's down to Tanner
Number three.
McKee. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting to see how that goes because the Eagles need one more win to clinch that division. I don't think they're gonna get the number one seed. I think Detroit's got that locked up. So, but
Yeah.
now Michael Penix, he made his debut against the Giants. You
Hmm.
know, after Kirk Cousins got benched, for his
4 game
six,
slide. Yeah.
16 interceptions and 12 fumbles. Yeah. So the question is, what's going to become of him? Are they going to cut him or what? Because it don't look like
Yeah.
they're talking about keeping him.
No, he was a stopgap. He was you want me to tell you? Let me back up a little bit. Let me back up. First of all, the situation with Jalen Hurts, let me just touch on that.
Mm.
You remember when he got pulled from the championship game and they pulled put Tua in?
Right, yeah.
Now, Jalen has to make a decision. And this is the same decision that haunted him in college and the same thing that affected his draft ability. Nobody is interested in you running the ball, Jalen.
Mm.
They're not.
Yeah.
In the NFL, it's about throwing the ball. When 2 weeks ago, when his receivers were complaining about what? Not getting the ball,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
The Philadelphia the Philadelphia Eagles spent boatload of money to get Saquon,
Yep.
Jalen, Saquon Barkley, to do what? Run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Understand where you are. Don't make the same mistake you made at Alabama.
Yeah.
Don't do it, Jalen. No one is interested. No one fears you running the ball. In the red zone, potentially. But now that they have Saquon, you need to master throwing the ball. You got the
Yep.
receivers, you got the running back, you got the offensive line. Lead and throw the pill. And
No
this is
doubt.
what messes up a lot of athletes. They don't understand where they are in time and space.
Yeah.
I had to sit there and this guy is gonna, and I'm gonna tell you because I know them Philadelphia fans. They don't go deep or to the show with all they got.
Mm-hmm.
The tune is going to change very quickly. Now, let me tell you this: lack of understanding of where you are. The regular season is the regular season. Playoff time is the real season.
Yeah.
Is
That's
the
the
real
money time.
season. It's the money time. Tuition. Did you see how the Cowboys defense was playing?
Yes.
I'm sitting there scratching my head, going, "Where y'all been all year?"
Hurt.
I was like, "Yeah," and these were the guys who were replacing the guys who were hurt.
Exactly.
And I'm sitting here
Exactly.
going, "If we was playing like this the whole season, we could be having a shot at least."
The Cooper
But
Rush seems to be a better game manager.
thank you. So what am I saying? I told this to my brother. I said, "This is when guys don't understand the game behind the game." The
Mm.
issue with Jalen is he better figure it out real fast, because this ain't the SEC, baby. These are grown men out there trying to lock up jobs.
Mm.
You leave that protection of that huddle, that's what's going to happen to you.
Mm. Yeah.
They're going to knock you out. Know why? Because it's going to give an advantage to the opposite team. I knew Philadelphia was in trouble. If the Commanders could give up the ball, Joe, 5 times and you
Yes.
can't get a field goal
Yes.
out of that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I told my brother, uh, they may not go, they may make it to the playoffs, but they won't be there long because he still
Yeah.
doesn't get it. Still doesn't get it. If you look at the body language of Sirianni and you
Mm.
look at the body language of the defense, they were already beat in their mind.
Mm.
They couldn't stop anything.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that big guy, Jalen Carter or whatever. My brother said, "Well, what about him?" I said, "Did you see Penix give him the slip and the whoop whoop whoop?" I said,
Yeah.
the thing that he has to understand again, why would the Philadelphia Eagles bring in Nick Fangio, defensive line coach? Because you guys are not getting it done up front.
Mm.
It's not enough to have potential. It's not enough to hear people say, man, this guy could be this and that. You got to get it done. That was a perfect game for him to have a coming out party and say, I'm going to shut it down. Me,
Yeah.
I'm going to shut it down. But a lot of these guys can't transition from college to
Hmm.
being a pro.
Yeah, that's
It's a
for
different
sure.
mindset.
That's for
That's my
sure.
2 cents, buddy.
So, what about the social media landscape?
Man, my take is this, brother. You got a lot of people out here talking who don't know what they're talking about.
That's for sure.
It's great in some respects and it's bad because you got a lot of people just not doing their homework. Like the kid in Colorado, the linebacker, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of people are mad and got you know, not understanding according to the NCAA rules. He's got 1 year of eligibility, but that eligibility is under a grad assistant,
Mm.
right? So he can't play for Colorado again. He can't have a
Mm.
6th year at Colorado,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
even though he just got there, but he played up his 2 years of eligibility. That next year would be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It make it 6 years. So he's
Right.
not leaving because he wants to leave necessarily. He's
Mm.
leaving because he has to leave. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
you just gotta, it's part of the game. I get it, but there's just a lot of just yeah, and people just talking foolishness out there. Well, that's why there's Smarterfan podcast. That's
Hmm.
why we're here to educate you, so you know what's going on. That's what's going
Yeah.
on, buddy. That's what's going on.
It's like somebody said, if you're not careful, you might learn something.
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good.
You know. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the NBA because
Okay.
this is a tale of two players. Okay, uh, the Knicks brought back veteran guard Landry Shamet,
Okay.
and he was waived by them in September because he injured his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
But he's made a full recovery, and he's been playing in the G League. You know, so the Knicks are bringing him back, and Tom T says that he's gonna fit perfectly in his system. So that's good news for him.
Yeah.
Now, John Wall, on the other hand,
Mm-hmm.
he last played in 23, and
It's a year ago.
he's been trying his hand at being an analyst in the G League, you
Okay.
know, but at the same time, he says he's been staying in shape, and he wants to get back into the game,
I don't blame him. He's
but
never been played, never been used properly.
right, and he during his career he's been hampered by injuries.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
And he even had a torn Achilles, so
Oh
that
wow.
kind of put the icing on the cake for him.
Yeah.
But he wants to work his way back and get
Mm-hmm.
back in the game. So he's trying to do that, but in the meantime, he's trying to, work at being an analyst. So
Yeah. Listen, these are the things that happen with an athlete things you can control and things you can't control. Can't
Exactly.
control the front office, can't control your coaching,
Mm-hmm.
can't control scheme, can't control any of that.
Yep.
You know, you're often at the mercy of those things you don't control. So you can
Mm.
be a three-time All-American, high draft choice, but I just watched his career and it's just like, is he going to be a point or is he going to be a two?
Mm.
And that just was never really, he just never really got to cement that.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So there's that
Yeah.
confusion because again, when people draft you and coach you and talk, they're putting their job on the line. That's the
Mm-hmm.
other thing a lot of athletes don't understand. You're making and breaking careers of who stand up for you. So if you're not a good risk, and see the thing with John Wall is not only the injuries but your age.
Yeah.
Like
That's it.
so,
Yes.
and the
Yeah.
age is like,
Yeah.
well, the age is an issue. As I told some friends of mine, because you're saying, well, am I gonna put the ball in his hands to lead my franchise to a championship at
Yeah.
his age? The
Right.
best I can maybe get out of him, hopefully, if he holds up, is 3 years.
Right.
I
Right.
mean,
And he's 34.
yeah. See that, and my brother said, well, what about CP3? I said the difference with CP3, his skill set has never been around being a scorer. His value is as a leader
Mm.
and distributing the ball. That's why
Mm.
John Stockton had a long career. He's not known as a
Right.
shooter, but he got 15, Joe, he has 15,000 assists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
That probably will never be broken.
No. No.
15,000. But he had a long career in a system that favored him. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? A
Yeah.
lot of things lined up. So,
Yeah.
you know, he may or may not be a Hall of Famer or whatever, whatever, but more than likely he will be with 15,000 assists. It ain't
Yeah.
sexy,
No,
but
but it's there.
it's there. You
So
know, mhm.
you touched on coaches in the front office. You care to expand on that?
Yeah, it came up again. And my favorite example is what's going on in Chicago.
Mm.
And I just pray that Caleb Williams finds a way to get out of there. Because
Well,
again, their front office seems lost. This is like the third coach situation that they have fumbled the ball. See how
mm,
he doesn't have control over that? He's
yeah.
the athlete, right? You front office people hired this guy and his coaches. I'm here trying to figure it out. So for me, I love it because it justifies why I felt it was unfair for them to get rid of Justin Fields when he was the offense
Mm,
for the Bears. Because and it's not that they didn't have anyone else. They gave up their great running back Montgomery, who's looking like a Hall of Famer in Detroit,
hmm.
right? You know what I'm saying? So it's these are the things that ruin, right? They got rid of Goff in LA because he couldn't get it done. Sure looks like he can get it done here.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you see how coaching and what I call, and Keyshawn must have heard me talking about it, lazy, stupid, selfish coaching can ruin your career, can ruin
Mm,
a franchise. And I'll
yeah.
put the cherry on top. Our boy, the commissioner, Goodell, said there's $800 million coming out of the coffers of the NFL for coaches who are not even coaching in the league anymore.
Mm, yeah. I remember you saying that. Yeah.
You know? So you
You,
look at Eberflus, probably thought he was going to, hey, he's not my guy. I need to get my guy to run my system. And yeah,
well,
okay.
the funny thing is, uh, the Lions OC Ben Johnson, the Bears are looking at him, and
I
he's
wouldn't say.
looking at them.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're winning in Detroit
No, he's talking. He's yeah, but he's the Ben Johnson. The Bears are looking at Ben Johnson to
to
be
do
their
what?
next head coach.
Yeah,
Now, he's the way he sees it. Uh, the upside is Caleb Williams, a ton of cap space, and draft resources. That's the way Johnson is looking at it.
Smart.
But
He don't. I mean, they got some pieces.
yeah,
They
yeah.
need a running back. They need an offensive line. I mean, this is the same Bears that used to have Khalil Mack, and they had a very good defense, but they didn't have any offense.
Right. Yeah.
Then they got rid of that, and then both went down the drain, and now they're in a rebuild. So yeah.
They're also talking about the Lions DC, Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
And the Bills OC, Joe Brady.
Yeah.
Mike Vrabel's name got thrown out there. And Cliff Kingsbury, his name got thrown out there for the Bears job. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, I think what's happening, Joe, is that the awareness, I guess, that certain kind of players can get the job done.
Yeah.
You see what's going on in Texas, Maceo, Raheem. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to getting somebody, and not that, they're not great coaches who never played, but they've kind of been overlooking former players.
Yeah.
That have the gift. They have the gift. Not all of them can do it. Right?
Well, we'll have to look at that again next week.
We'll have more stories. I'm digging up all kind of stories. Next week we're going to talk about Formula One. I got a little surprise for you.
Okay.
Formula One and what's going on. So yeah, man, as we say on Smarterfan podcast, stay in the game and happy holidays to you and yours.
That's right. Happy holidays. Good night.
Good night.
Smarterfan.